You guys can see my screen.
Yeah,
Social
we're good to
media,
go.
why it matters. All right, you guys ready?
Yep, let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's do this. All right, welcome everybody to our webinar, Social Media, Why It Matters. Really, we didn't want to have too long a title, but part of what we're going to be covering here is why social media matters, but also we're going to be talking about branding, and we're also going to be talking specifically about LinkedIn. So how I want to get started first is, what is brand? We hear that term a lot. People say, well, somebody's got a brand, or they're working on their brand, or I'm doing this to enhance my brand. Glenn Spencer, I think, has a great viewpoint on brand, and that is what people say about you when you're not around. I think that's a great way to look at it. I've always held that your brand as an advisor is when a total stranger sees you out in public, or a friend sees you at your house, or a client sees you in private. If you've done a good job of developing your brand, all three of those people are thinking roughly the same thing about you as an advisor. So obviously the hardest part of building that brand is the stranger walking down the street. A lot of us don't think that way, but there are people on this call and there are people in this industry that have a big enough brand that when someone sees them walking down the street or sees them out in public, they already know their brand. So we're going to work on that. I think these statements give you a proper foundation for where we're going to go with this. The point of this presentation is, what is your brand? How do you develop it? Do you have one? And how can you use social media to enhance and potentially accelerate the building of that brand to an attractive brand? So I'm going to scroll down here on the slides. Just bear with me, y'all. Oops, get this out, screen share. This next page is for some of you old school people, or maybe even some of your newer school people on here. You're going to probably instantly recognize some of these icons. This is to lay out some of the traditional ways that advisors and financial services reps historically built their client base, and hopefully started building their brand in the process. Many of us on this call, yours including me, started out with door knocking, what we would call walk and talks, basically going to various businesses, going in, dropping a card off, networking, the handshaking there, and cold calling. So that was how a lot of us accumulated our first round of clients. And honestly, many of us still use some of these methods, including me, which will probably surprise some of y'all on this here. As a lot of us got a little bit of revenue flowing over the years, we added direct mail, postcards, letters, community sponsorships, banners, dinner seminars, things like that to our prospecting efforts. A lot of times in a way to elevate the level of prospect that we're going after, and also as an attempt to start building our brand. And then a lot of us even stepped up into billboards and broadcast mediums such as TV and radio. I think this group, from what I saw from some of the names, has a little bit of some of the longer term serving advisors at Prime. So I'm going to ask you all, you can put it in chat or just we'll talk about it later, but if anybody here remembers It's Your Money with Scott and Tim, the radio show. We can poke fun of it now, but they actually did a very good job. And I've always wondered if anyone has any of those audio files saved anywhere, somewhere deep in storage that we could bust out. So with all that said, let's set the table for this slide. And I want to apologize to some of y'all. I didn't do this in the beginning that don't know me. My name is Josh Knoll. I have a DBA down here in the coast of Alabama on the Gulf Coast called Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. For those of you who are not familiar with me, the reason I'm having this conversation with Emily Weber and Chris Roper is the fact that I have went independent about a year and a half ago and have pretty much exclusively built my brand online. Not that I don't shake hands and kiss babies and do all the networking groups and still make cold calls and things like that, but the majority of my marketing, prospecting, and networking activities can be found online through my website, through my podcast, through social media platforms, through YouTube, so on and so forth. So back to the point here. On this table, what I want you all to think about when you're building your brand is not just from a marketing standpoint, but I want you also thinking about it from prospecting and networking. So marketing, prospecting, networking. Second, for those of you all that still use traditional marketing and prospecting efforts, I want you to understand this. I want to set the table with this. Social media and online marketing in and of itself will not replace the effectiveness of these efforts. That's not the point of this. I would love to tell you all that you could set your phone down, quit doing cold calls, and just go out and make a couple of posts every day, and that you'll gather the same volume of clients, but that's simply not true. What the traditional style, the top 3 levels you see there are really what's called push marketing. Push marketing is where you're prospecting and you are trying to bring people along into your system via phone calls, emails, visits, coffees, so on and so forth. That's push marketing. Pull marketing is where you're trying to establish a brand, or at least something attractive enough to where people come into your advisory practice or your business and want to do business with you. What we're trying to do here is just understand that the push marketing, generally speaking, in the financial advice industry, almost always outperforms the pull marketing in the short run. What we're going to be talking about here is going to be longer play stuff, building a foundation on the pull side that helps you enhance the push side, because you can do both. Your brand can make your efforts both on the push and the pull side more effective and efficient. I can promise you, we can show you real world examples of that. So what I want to ask you all as we get into this is, I want you to erase any zero-sum equation that you might have had in your mind of prospecting and marketing, to where you were abandoning one thing to completely do the other. That's not how it works. You can do that if you're uber talented. There are people that go online and they immediately pop and they immediately start getting clients from that. I'm not that person, and most of the people that do the style of marketing that I do are not either. They have to, this is a effort where you're not going to replace the traditional methods of building your brand overnight. What you're going to do is hopefully use the push and the pull to make it go faster and more effective. So those of y'all that know me, again, I'm down here on the Gulf of Mexico, know that I'm big on boats and I like to fish. So I'm going to, Will Stye and I couldn't figure out if this is a metaphor, an analogy, or a simile, whatever the heck that is. But we're going to try to use a metaphor here. I want you all to envision your respective practices as a fishing boat and your prospects as various varieties of fish. So if you have that in your mind, some of our boats are little runabouts, and some of us, like Tim, are cruising around in 75-foot sport fisherman yachts. Either way, if your practice is still in fishing mode, then you still have some type of equipment on board there, fishing poles, bait. You've got some type of thing where you're trying to bring fish, i.e. clients, on board. So keep with me on this. Some of you have had 1 or 2 fishing poles over your long career, and you've used kind of the same bait for those number of years, and you've gone to the same fishing spots every time, and you've done great. You're always able to go back to those fishing spots, and you're able to pull large fish, i.e. clients, from there using your traditional prospecting methods. And for those of y'all that are doing this, I say, hey, don't stop doing that. What's worked for you in the past, if you've already built that brand, this is not about this. You notice the point of the title of all this was not rebuilding your brand using LinkedIn or social media. This is about building and enhancing your brand. If you got that brand, then let's use these things to expand your coverage. Now, that being said, some of y'all that are successful at fishing in 1 spot or 2 spots using the same bait over and over again, maybe you've had enough of having the same always pulling the same type of client, and maybe you're looking to expand your reach and the different types of client, i.e. fish, that you get from your prospecting and marketing efforts. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking to the rest of us non-yacht owners here that either maybe don't know what's the best fishing pole to use, don't know what's the best bait, don't know where the best fishing spots are, or in my case, got so frustrated that I basically jumped out of my boat into the water and tried to grab all the damn fish with my own hands. So anybody that's ever prospected, especially some of y'all that are coming in, asking the old timers, and you have to learn how to live on a heavy dose of vitamin NO, or you won't survive the initial part. What we're going to try to do here, though, is help you all take a second and think about where the fish you're trying to catch are at. Where are your clients located? And then once you envision them where they're at, can you reach all of them with one pole or one method? Let's say you decided I'm simply going to cold call. Are you going to find everybody there? No, you're not. There's not one method that's going to catch everybody. However, what you can do is you can add, through modern technology and just a little bit of effort, you can add a bunch of fishing poles, you can add a bunch of bait, you can add a bunch of spots to go fish. Again, back to you envisioning your practice as a boat. Would you feel more comfortable if you had 1 or 2 poles in the water? Or would you feel more comfortable if you had 20 to 30 poles all scattered all across around the bow of the boat, and you're fishing in multiple spots? For me, I like having as many hooks in the water, which as much variety of bait as I can, because I don't know, what I don't know is who's going to bite when and how, but I do know roughly where my fish are, where the clients are. They're where your clients are. Your clients, your prospects, your center of influence, your subject matter experts. You all know the answer to this. I'm not telling you something because I know it better than you do. Right now in 2020 and beyond, they're online. Most of them are findable online. Some of your older clients maybe could care less that you have a LinkedIn profile. Some of your older clients maybe not even know that you have a website, but the majority of them are going to be somewhere online, and they're going to be the most direct route you have to them is not going to be necessarily through traditional methods. It's going to be going where they're looking, when they're looking, and how they're looking. So let's talk about how we get the most hooks in the water with the best bait, and where the fish are currently at. So hopefully you can. The goal of this for you all is that you can catch a bunch of fish, i.e. clients. You can make a bunch of money, so you can buy a bigger boat with better equipment, nicer bait, so you can actually venture a little further out, and you can go fishing where the bigger fish are, i.e. You move up the food chain of the net worth of your client. That's how this is the point of all this. What we're going to do, as opposed to trying to tackle this entire social media animal at once, which would overwhelm you all or a lot of y'all, and you would end up not doing any of this, and that's not the point of this. We're going to start where, in our opinion, where is is it easiest to have the most effective use of your time, so that you can put your bait on the hook, you can throw it in the water, and you can actually catch your fish, and that's going to be LinkedIn. So back to our traditional example of building your brand with historical methods. If you are still doing cold calling, networking, I call it drumbeat prospecting, but basically, drip, 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 making sure you're calling everybody once a week. In 2020 and beyond, I'm never going to tell you all that's not effective. So I hope anybody's ever talked to me knows that I will never say those things are not effective. What I will say, and no one has ever proved me otherwise, is that they're not necessarily the most efficient use of your time. Not that you don't want to do them, but there are ways to enhance your efficiency on the other side by building your brand. And then, of course, the direct mail and seminars and certainly TV, magazine, and radio, that is still expensive. It was expensive 5 years ago. It was expensive 20 years ago. Historically, it's always been expensive. If you got the money to put it out there and do it consistently, great, good for you. Most of us don't have that kind of marketing budget, so we've got to find a different way. So we're going to talk about how can you affordably begin building your brand so that you will enhance your prospecting, your marketing, and your networking efforts. And so you can be the most efficient and effective in 2020 and beyond. And really, at the end of the day, what you're really trying to do is make more money. I mean, we're not doing this for charity, and we're not doing it because it's a bag full of fun. We're doing this so that we build our practice and we make more money. So for those of y'all that have built a brand out there, you're relying on growth through client referrals, what you have tapped on, and I'm telling you something you already know, but you've tapped into word of mouth. The most important thing of building a brand in any time era is word of mouth. What I'm going to position to you all is that social media, used correctly, is word of mouth on steroids. Do it right. Not only will the client in private have a great opinion of you as an advisor, and will your friends have a great opinion of you as an advisor, but a prospect that sees you walking down the street or sees you in public, a prospect that you didn't even know was a prospect, will have a great opinion of you already formed as you as an advisor, and potentially will decide to go ahead and reach out to you, or be more receptive when you actually reach out to them once you figure out that they're a prospect. And you will if you dive into this world. So in other words, to sum it up, if y'all can figure this out, and it does take time and it does take a little bit of effort, but if you can figure it out, you can go out fishing and some of the fish will jump into your boat. Okay. So over the next couple of slides, Emily Weber is going to give you all 3 easy steps to build your brand, starting with LinkedIn. Again, we're going to lay out the reasons why we're starting with LinkedIn. She's also going to give you some do's and don'ts on the platform. And then Chris Roper is going to detail why LinkedIn is the best platform currently for advisors to begin their online branding efforts. And he's going to walk us through a couple of real world ways and practical tips of actually getting a running start on this so you don't waste your time. Because the one thing that we want to do here is, first, do you agree that having an robust online presence in 2020 and beyond is important to brand building? If the answer to that is yes, then what we want to do is set everybody up, including myself, Chris, Emily, and everybody else that's in this, going this direction. You want to set it up so you have the most impact and most best use of your time. What you don't want to do is waste your time. What you don't want to do is go to this trouble and start putting posts out there and they're irrelevant. No one looks at them. So we're gonna lay out how you can get a start on this and how you can start building your online brand using social media, LinkedIn specifically, so that hopefully we get to a point to where we have built a tribe and the fish start jumping in our boats. All right. So with that said, I'm going to Emily. I'm going to scroll down and jump to you. And I want to apologize to y'all real quick. I always forget to do the word of mouth. Social media, I want you all to remember this. A lot of y'all have great word of mouth presence as it is in your communities. And some of y'all probably have as good or better local social media presence as I do down here. But always remember that social media is word of mouth on steroids. You need to control, if you want the most impact of that word of mouth, then you need to have the best brand built that you can. So, all right, Emily, with that, I'll be quiet and I'll go to the steps.
Thanks, Josh. I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions while we're going in this presentation, please feel free to put them in the chat box and we'll stop and try to get to those as quickly as possible too. So we have 3 easy steps that everyone does. It will boost up your social media platform. So step 1, redevelop your profile. Update your profile picture and background header. Try to update your title to more than just your title and make your about section more personal and professional. This will help you make you look like a real person and someone that people can relate to. So step 2, follow. Follow all the brands. We're putting some great information out, and we also highlight our team members. Connect with your fellow advisors. You can each help each other build your own personal brand. Also connect or follow the conferences that you go to. You can tag them later in a post. And that brings me to step 3. Engage, comment, share, tag, and use relevant hashtags. For instance, if we would have had this business forum in person and you traveled here, you could have taken a selfie in the airport and said, just flew in from Southwest Airlines and landed in KC. I'm getting ready to head to Prime Capital Investment Advisors Business Forum. What great restaurants should I try before I leave? You would tag Southwest, tag PCIA, use a hashtag of KCMO. If our business forum had a hashtag, use that, and then do something silly/easy like hashtag suggestions. This will get a conversation going and help you reach your audience. It will also make you present and not only posting about one certain topic. This is still professional, but more on the personal side. It once again makes you appear human, and people like that. So if we could go down to the do slide, and I will show you an example of what you should do. Okay, so we're using Robert as an example today. His background header, my suggestion would be to update that. We have it in the resource library. You can download those headers and use them on your social media platforms. The title, it's not standard, but it explains a service and it's unique and it's really good. So it stands out. His about section has information about him that's personal and professional. So again, it makes him look like he's a human being. He has great posts that he's posting. He's using a nice variety of hashtags, a nice variety of sharing. He's not only just sharing content though, he also puts his own comments on the shared information, which is also good. You don't want to just continue to just share stuff and have it thrown out there and not say anything about it. You want to make a comment on it. So if we can go to the don't slide. And Alec was on last session, so he's not on here this session, so I'm not going to apologize to him again. But we're using Alec as an example on the don't slide. And the reason I'm saying this is because his profile picture needs to be updated.
I think that's his fraternity picture. That's what I decided.
The background header needs to be updated too, in my opinion. The titles, your very basic standard title doesn't stand out. His about section has no personal information on it whatsoever. It's just work. And it's just what his services are. And that's it. He doesn't post a lot. Granted, his last post that he posted about CFP was a really great post. It was personal. And he did get a lot of hits on it. But that was like 4 months ago. So he doesn't post on a continuing basis, I guess. So if you look at the articles that he shares, he also puts no personal comment about them, and they're not getting the hits that they need. So for Alec, what I told him to kind of change to have a better profile, I would start posting and engaging more to help build the personal brand up. If you're using social media for a personal brand, the worst thing you can do is not post for months on end and not engage. This is kind of, you have to think of this as a virtual networking community. You want to interact, and maybe a like is, you can consider a like as a handshake, and things like that. So you want to get as many likes and handshakes and comments because you're networking. So now we are going to hand it off to Chris Roper, and he's going to start going into kind of more of the algorithm.
Chris, I'm going to get you handed over here. Let's get
You guys ready to rock? Let's go. Thanks, Josh. So we're going to conquer LinkedIn together right now. So this is going to be the fun part. So strap yourselves in. Rope Dope is ready to roll. Am I presenter yet, Josh?
You should be host now.
I'm hosting. This is fantastic. Okay.
I'm going to stop share on mine.
Okay, perfect. Yep, go for it. And
Okay.
then we're going to switch over. And just let me share this real quick. And we had a lot of really great questions. Jeff, get out of here. That was an amazing picture. He was telling me that picture sucked. And I was like, no, this is fantastic. So we're going to conquer it just like the Chiefs conquered those lowly 49ers in the Super Bowl. And we're going to go talk about the algorithm. We're going to talk about tips. We're going to do all kinds of fun things for LinkedIn. So you guys are going to get a copy of this. This is my patented Chris Roper hacks and tips sheet. So we're going to send this out to everybody afterwards. We're going to start here. And I want to encourage everyone to, send out questions when you have them. And Josh, I'm going to let you be the moderator. Just go ahead. It's just a lot easier when Josh is reading the questions or Emily and asking me versus me trying to present and do that at the same time. So if you see questions come up, let me know. You guys know the kind of order I'm going to talk in. But what I want to start with is, reiterating what Josh said. Okay, this is not a magic bullet. For LinkedIn's not a magic bullet, but I think it's a really good piece for your arsenal for us to go out and make money, increase our personal brand, increase the company brand. So there's all kinds of things we can do. So I started doing a lot of research a few weeks back with all my spare time, being alone in my loft, going nuts. And what I found out was all the experts are talking about that the one place that everybody wants to be is LinkedIn. And the reason why is it's like the other social media platforms back in 2012, where you could post things, you can get things to go viral, you can get things to spread, you can have people see your information and not have to pay for it. So we can actually use the algorithm, how it's built, to get our information in front of the people we want to get in front of. So that's what we're going to look at and start at today. Is we're going to start with the algorithm. And I hope you guys paid attention to Josh's the why. And really, if you buy into the why, then this is going to be really good information for you to help you get into the how should I be doing this. So the first thing that I kind of want to keep in the back of everyone's head when we start out thinking about this is what is LinkedIn trying to do? Okay, how does LinkedIn make money? And this will help guide us down to how we can use the algorithm. All right, so LinkedIn wants people to be on LinkedIn. Okay, they want people to be engaging on LinkedIn. They want people to be spending time on LinkedIn. Why is that? Well, because there's revenue in that. People are more likely to upgrade their profiles to premium. People are more likely to see ads that people pay for. So if we keep this in the back of their head, okay, LinkedIn wants people to stay on LinkedIn. So if we can keep people to stay on LinkedIn, we can keep people engaged in LinkedIn, they're going to help us out. Okay. So let's keep that in the back of our heads for everything that we talk about today. So the biggest thing that we want to talk about to start out with is this term called velocity. Okay. And what this means is how fast your content that you post gets engaged with. And we'll talk about engagement here in a minute. Okay. So the algorithm likes it a lot. The faster you get engagement and the faster that you are working with your things with your post are getting talked with, liked, shares, comments. So like this is mine from this morning. This is right before we started our meetings this morning 5 hours ago. It was lemonade. How do you turn lemons into lemonade, right? And at the beginning of the last meeting that we had, I had 250 views, and now I have 437, except I haven't refreshed this. It's probably a lot bigger than that now. But part of my team that I created, it's at 490, is we go in and we all post at the same time. We post in the beginning of the day, so you have time for that people to see it, and then they engage with it, and we engage with each other to help promote our posts. So if you look back at my profile, and we'll look at my post specifically, what I was doing a few weeks ago versus what we're doing now, and let's look at the difference. So this is a post that I thought was going to be good. Girl Scout cookies. It's got a picture. People like Girl Scout cookies. I was asking people about Girl Scout cookies. Like, hey, hopefully this makes people smile. What's your favorite cookie? And I got 15 views. All right. Not a lot. A Hallmark card thing. I thought this was really cool. Hallmark was giving away 2 million cards. Okay, great. Putting that in there. I got 41 views. Social Security. That's something I shared from Scott Liggett. And this is since inception. So this is 2 weeks old. I've gotten 82 views since that happened. And you come back up here to the very, very top one. I've gotten, it's not showing it right here, but 491 views in 5 hours. Okay. So these are what the hacks that we're going to use are. This is the one from Tuesday. We're at 1,200 views in 2 days. So I'm at 1,200% increase in my views just by tweaking how the algorithm works and working together with a team to help each other out. So let's dive into this, because their whole goal is one, however big your network is, mine's 1,200-ish, to be able to have them see your information that you're putting out there, whatever that is. And then two, if we do this the right way, we can have the algorithm actually uplift your post and take it to the next level where it actually will get outside of your viewers, your followers. It can get outside of your own network. Okay. So that's kind of our goal there. And we don't have to pay a dime for this. All we have to do is spend a little bit of time to make this happen. So hopefully you're excited. Hopefully you see the value in this so far. We're going to dive in and kind of figure out a little bit more about this. All right. So I'm going to skip to number 3 before I go back to number 2 and just figure out, how does LinkedIn, how does this algorithm work, and what is it doing behind the scenes to figure out, A, is this good or not good? So like that, going back to that Girl Scout cookie post that I had 15 views on it. I thought, man, for sure I was going to, that was going to do well, and it didn't do well at all. So what the algorithm does is it goes ahead and it tests out what you're posting to a small group of people, and it tests it for that quality. And if it does well, it'll push it to more people. If it does well, it'll push it to more people. If it doesn't do well, it might try a different group. And after it fails once or twice or 3 times, it's going to just pull your information off. So once my view didn't get tested, once my post didn't get test well, it just pulled it off. So I'm never going to get more views than those 15. It's just, no, we're going to bury this and go focus on things that are getting engagement to keep people on the site. Okay. So that's kind of how the algorithm's working. And that velocity, we're talking about engagement. What is engagement? So I'm going to flip back over to this post and we can look and see exactly what engagement is. Okay. Engagement is likes, it's comments and shares. It's these three buttons right here when you're looking at people's stuff. So you can see down here in mine, if I pull it up, I have 20 likes, and you can do all kinds of different things. This one's like a good idea one. You have comments, and I don't have any shares yet. That's fine. Any of these is good to have, a like, a comment, or a share. For my team that I put together, we do a like and a comment every time we go about it. Comments are king. It's on that sheet I just had pulled up. LinkedIn loves the comments. And again, going back to how the algorithm works, they want to get people engaged using the system, using LinkedIn. The more you use it, the more likely you're going to continue to use it. You're building habits. It's just the same thing with not Fidelity. Facebook did a while back, years ago. It's like once you get on, you just kind of stay on and you just stay on there longer. So if you have people in here doing comments, they're giving this the top priority. So I ask my team to do a like and a comment. And you can see, I'll pull up actually one of our team members. Actually, I'm going to do it for this one up here because I actually did a little bit more engagement on this one here. So Marco said this morning, hey, great point of view. In the last few weeks, it's been a great reminder to enjoy the small moments with my family, like playing board games. So he tagged me in it, which we'll talk about that here in a second. And he really responded back to my post. Okay. So he put some thought into it. And then I came back because I want the algorithm to keep up with this engagement. And I just said, hey, Marco. Oh, I asked him a question. There's a reply up in here. Hold on a second. There's more replies. I asked him, hey, that's awesome that you're enjoying the little moments. What board games are you playing? Who's been winning? Just to drive conversation. And granted, Marco's part of my group. But you can do this with anybody. Anybody that reply, you can say, hey, just ask them questions and do things. And you're liking these posts that are in here. And doing all this and doing it in a fast manner as far as when you put the post up is going to really what's going to drive that algorithm. So let's think about that for a second. And this goes to one of my tips that I have on the sheet that we'll look at later. But when do you post? Okay. And my group posts at 9 o'clock. We have everything up by 9 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. One, Tuesdays are the best days when most people are on. And two, LinkedIn, most people use LinkedIn during the work hours, 8 to 5. Okay. Well, if they're not using, if this algorithm is based on velocity, you post something at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and most people get off in the next hour. Well, all of a sudden you're putting yourself 12, 15 hours behind the algorithm as far as that velocity term goes. So if you post late in the day and you want views, I would say you're doing it wrong and you need to change what you're doing. I would post earlier in the morning, before noon, because you allow yourself more chances for that velocity part of the algorithm to work for you, for more people to see it, for more people to interact with it, and you to get that momentum going for yourself. Okay. So we've talked about likes. We talked about comments. Comments are kings. Shares. If I like my group to do 2 of these things, you can share. And if you share, let's put it like here. We talked about this earlier. This is one of the questions that came up in the last one. You can share and just hit post. But what Emily was talking about, Alec, he was sharing things and not writing anything personal. So let's pretend this is not mine. You're like, hey, and then you tag. So you hit an @ sign and then start typing Chris. And then, Chris Roper. Okay. So, hey, Chris Roper, great post. Thanks for sharing. #grateful, right? Or gratefulness. It gives you pop-ups of what you can do, right? And this is a better way for you to actually share something. It's even better if you start doing some other things with it, but that's a good way, other than just having it blank, is tagging other people, tagging other organizations. You could say, instead of Chris Roper, you could say @PCIA. You could do all kinds of different things depending on what the post is. Tag things and hashtag things is going to help out. You can see that actually when we flip over to, hold on a second. Here we go. My post from Tuesday actually started trending an hour ago in Dreams. So if you use hashtags in your post, and we're going to talk about how to make that post here in a second, but I always use hashtags in my posts. Like this one has grateful and COVID in here and this one. But if I have my people, and this is something I learned this week, so we haven't actually started doing it yet, but if Marco starts using, and all the people that have posted on mine had started using grateful inside of here, you're more likely to start trending in the area at which you're tagged in. And that's going to help you out to get more views. And if you're trending, you're going to get more views. You're getting outside your network. So these are things that we want to do. And, I'm using grateful here. Because that's the one piece I thought it worked well in. But this is more of a personal post of just doing something good. When you come down to my last post, which is in here somewhere, it's this one right here.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Real quick. Steve Nelson wants you to define hashtag.
Yeah, Steve, you need to join our meeting on next week. That's going to cover the basics of LinkedIn, but a hashtag is a pound sign or number sign, and it's a tag. So if you said tag hashtag financial wellness, so you can see I started typing hashtag or the pound sign, the number sign, and then you start typing anything, but like say financial wellness, that's going to tag that. It's going to link that to different people that want that topic to be more aware of that topic. I don't know if anybody else has something to say to that. Like Emily, you can maybe describe that better, but it's going to tag it's going to tie everything back to anytime anybody posts this on financial wellness, all their articles are going to show up, all their posts are going to show up in financial wellness.
So hashtag, yes. So yeah, basically what Chris is saying. So the hashtag will, if people are looking for COVID-19 right now, they could do, in LinkedIn, they could do a hashtag COVID-19, and anything that's been posted and use the hashtag COVID-19, it will pop up. And so you can just scroll down and gather all the information that way. But yes, we will have another webinar on Wednesday, and we'll post at the end of this webinar, and you can sign up for that.
That's a great question. Thanks for the help on that one, Emily. I appreciate it. So then it comes down into hack number 4 and 5, and we're going to talk about pictures, videos, and articles and outside links. So we're going to go ahead and swing back over to LinkedIn. Okay. And you can see on my post here, I have a picture and I have words. Okay. And there's some of them I have videos in down here as well. So LinkedIn doesn't care if you have a video. It doesn't care if you have a picture. It doesn't care if you just write something. It treats them all the same. There's no benefit to have either one of those for you from the algorithm's perspective. However, if you spend any time on LinkedIn, you'll notice yourself gravitating towards things with pictures, infographics, or videos. Okay. So I would recommend to use those when you can, just because it's more interesting and people like it more. But specifically, the algorithm does not promote your post for doing any one of those. You can also see here that I have this video is embedded inside of LinkedIn. We're going to talk about how to do this here in a minute, but again, going back to LinkedIn, they want you to stay on their site. So anytime that you're doing something, you want to stay on their site. So you want to upload stuff directly to LinkedIn. You don't want to have it as hey, I had to click on this and it pulls it over to YouTube. Okay. Or I click on this article and it sends me to XYZ website. You want it to if at all possible, you want it to stay on LinkedIn, and you're going to get better results for having it there. It's going to give you a lot better results actually. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, writing a post. What does it look like? What should you be doing? So if you're the first page of you're logged in here to LinkedIn at the very top. Oh, look, there's our guy, Rob Massa, with a video. Look at him. Good stuff. We might actually use this here in a minute. So you're going to start a post. And the first thing that you want to do is, what are you putting in here? How are you doing things? And I'm going to slide back over. Actually, no, you know what? This is perfect. We'll look at Rob's right now. Well, Rob's isn't long enough. We'll look at mine. Not that one. Gosh. Sorry, the Zoom stuff keeps popping up. Okay. So you can see that this post right here from Tuesday. I get 3 lines, and sometimes you only get 2, but I get 3 lines here, and then there's a see more. Okay. And then you can see I typed a lot more stuff in here. And this is the stuff from here down is all about my business and trying to get business stuff. And then everything up here is about more esoteric sort of things. My goal of helping 1 million people and all that stuff. So one of the big tips that everybody gives you is if you're going to have something that's longer than 2 or 3 lines, you need to really make sure you grab people's attention up front. So I've been on this trend of just doing a word and an exclamation point, but the tips that I've found out to be the best were put a number in it, put a percentage in it, ask a question up front to try to drive engagement. If you're posting some kind of a list, say, hey, here's a top 10 list of things you need to do right now with COVID-19, being at home. I really like number 5. And that really helps drive engagement. People get curious and they want to click on stuff. So you can go down that road and it really helps out. So when you're starting to post up here, you want to talk about, so, hey, qualified, here you go. Qualified plan advisors. What do you think the biggest hashtag, oops. Sorry, I'm not on my regular keyboard, guys. My regular fiduciary, my biggest fiduciary risk is during, hashtag COVID-19. And then maybe I want HR professionals to see this. So I put HR professionals at the end. Okay. And there's my post. And then maybe I come down here and you say, hey, I want to put either a video, that's actually a picture, but you can put a picture, a video, you can attach an article to it. And it'll actually give you, I already put hashtags in here, but it'll give you hashtags it thinks will work for you. But this is a pretty decent post if I wanted to engage qualified plan advisors and try to start getting things going. Right. So I've tagged something. And when I say tag, just because in case Gary's asking this, you're using the @ symbol and you're typing in. So like Gary, if Gary Walker's here, if I do that, Gary's going to get a message that, hey, he's tagged. All right. And it's more like his network's going to see this because he's tagged. So it's good to tag people if it makes sense to tag people. You have the hashtags. We have 3 hashtags. So it'll go towards fiduciary. It's going to push it towards HR people and for COVID. Okay. So this is a pretty good post. Again, if I had a video of something of like the top 10 things, fiduciary risk, Matthew talking about it, I don't want to, if at all possible, say, hey, here's youtube.com, whatever, Matthew Eichmann video. I don't want to do this. The algorithm, if you put a link to something that's going to go outside of LinkedIn in your post, it is going to downgrade. The algorithm is going to downgrade your post. It is not going to help you push it out. Okay. So what can you do? 1, upload this video natively is what they call it right here, specifically to LinkedIn. Okay. You click on it, you upload it, and then boom, you have it hosted there on LinkedIn. If you don't have that content, okay, the next thing that you can do is, let me get rid of this real quick, is inside the comments, just in your post, say, hey, check out the comments for this video. And then you put in the comment, you put youtube.com here, and you can post the link to the video there, and the algorithm does not downgrade you. So you can still get the content there, but you just post it in the comments, and you have to tell people, go read the comments for this information. Okay. So it's the same thing with articles. If you have an article up here at start a post, instead of having an article from outside, take your article information, write an article, and they have this thing called Publisher. And basically you just type in your article here. You can copy and paste it in here. You can put visuals in here. You can do all that. When you publish it, it's going to come back and look like it's going to be hosted on LinkedIn. So instead of clicking on it and it going outside of LinkedIn, it's going to stay on LinkedIn, and you're going to get a lot better reaction from the algorithm by doing that. Okay. I need to take a drink of water. Is there any questions that have come in so far?
Yeah, there's some questions.
there's
Lynn
double.
has a question about hashtags. How do you offensively turn that into clients, not simply waiting for your brand to attract? And then also, Don wanted to know to target an industry, is it smart to hashtag it?
Yes.
I can jump in on that if you want, Chris.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right, so it's going to be, I'm going to tie those two questions together. So on, how do you offensively turn basically LinkedIn into clients? I want you all again to think back to your traditional prospecting methods that you've done, that I've done, where we've identified whether it's a business owner or it's a doctor or it's a lawyer or it's whatever, we all have had lists of 10, 15, 20, 100 prospects in a certain industry that we thought we wanted to go after. So what LinkedIn allows you to do, whereas historically maybe you sent that person a letter, made a couple phone calls, took them to coffee, all those things are still great and relevant. What LinkedIn allows you to do is go in and if they're on LinkedIn, like their posts, comment on their stuff, maybe follow some of the same things that they are following. Really start separating yourselves as somebody that is interested, and not only in just them, but maybe somebody that's interested in what they're interested in. I know for a fact that many advisors historically have, if they have targeted dentists as clients, they've joined dental organizations. Well, on a smaller scale, obviously, but if you're targeting dentists that are active on LinkedIn, then my first thing would be I would start following hashtag anything related to dental industry, dentist, dental, dentists on LinkedIn, whatever. Chris could pull them up real quick, and there's probably at least half a dozen. From there, I would drill down to look to see who is, as a dentist, that is my prospect, who is somebody that's at least reasonably active, so that I'm not wasting my time commenting and liking on someone that only checks LinkedIn once every couple months. Then from there, I'm basically going to start putting some things into liking, commenting, possibly sharing if they've got something relevant. Because I think what you all have got to understand, or not understand, I think what you all understand on a fundamental level is no one goes on LinkedIn, no one goes on any social media platform and goes to the trouble of putting a post out there and hopes that no one likes it. I mean, if they're going to the trouble of putting something out there, they're hoping someone gives them some recognition of the fact that what they put out there was valid through liking or commenting or celebrating or whatever. So if you can be one of those people that is providing that positive feedback to that person that made that post, and that person that made that post just happens to be in your target prospecting list, well, you kind of kill two birds with one stone. So that is, and then I got to be very careful with what I say here, Chris, Glenn, anybody with compliance. Obviously we cannot text or use social media to message our clients, right? But I don't believe that compliance or Tony would be upset if you reached out on message and said, hey, great content that you're putting out, keep it up. Hey, Dr. Dental guy, really appreciate all the information you're spreading about dentistry, keep it up. So there's ways to do that where it's really the same thing as if you saw the guy in public and said, hey, I really like that article that you published in the local newspaper, keep it up. It's the same thing. So.
Yeah, thanks for that information there, Josh. And I was reading some of the other comments that were coming in, and I was actually doing some of my homework and as part of my group to comment on Rob's information. So you might have seen me do some of that too. I saw some of the questions come in, and I think Sarah asked, what are some great examples? Josh has got a really good profile. Rob's got a good profile.
Big cheese.
Big cheese. Mine's pretty decent. I still have a little bit of work to do on it, but it's pretty decent. There's all kinds of good ways to do that. And again, we're going to have that meeting down the road next week too on the basics of this stuff, this is a little more, the algorithm stuff's a little more, a little higher level, but we're trying to keep it simple and easy for you. And the cheat sheet that I'll send you afterwards should make it pretty easy to go on there. So a couple other things, and please keep on sending your questions in. And, it looks like we're going to get a nice little haircut thing going for me on here too. This would be fantastic.
We're going to go there.
If we get 10,000 views on some of my posts that have, one of my good posts, then maybe I'll cut my own hair on live and you guys can laugh at me. It'd be fun. I really want to go back to Glenn's point and kind of talk about, getting clients of this. I've actually had one person reach out to me talking about business already, and I've only been doing this really for 2 weeks. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting this to be a long-term play, more like a qualified planning timeline when I'm doing prospecting for that, 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, something I want to do forever. And I don't remember if we talked about on this one or not, but this is something that, when you're talking about the algorithm, how this thing works, you need to be consistent. So if you can only do this once a week and commit to once a week and do it and keep doing it. Because you don't want to be like Alec and do it once and then not do anything for 4 months. It doesn't.
He had real momentum. He lost there.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to be doing that. So commit to what you can commit to. My group does Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:00. And that's what we do. And we go in and we're helping each other promote our posts so we can get, 10 times, 12 times the views that we started with. And we're only just scratching the surface of what we're starting with. We're still learning. And that's how fast we've been able to do this kind of thing. So to Glenn's specific point, like if you wanted to go to like for 401k posts, I mentioned earlier, like Rob has here, and I'm pointing to it on the screen, but Rob has here retirement plans and 401k. If I want HR people to see this, I would have put I might have switched out 401k for HR professionals to maybe target more of CFOs or HR people or something like that I want to do instead of just 401k. Not saying that 401k is bad, just maybe that's what you'd want to do if you want to target that group. But you can, if you have a certain industry you're in, hashtag that industry all the time. Find out what the hashtag is they use and do that. Find out what groups they're in and post your stuff in their groups. But if you're just doing it here and this, you can get engagement and think about this as a long-term play is you're just going out and saying hi. It's a non-threatening touch. And they say from cold to sales in a regular sales environment, you need 8 to 12 touches. Okay. So this is not like this stuff's going to happen overnight, but you can have things happen. Like I've had people engage me so far that people from my past that I want to re-engage with. One of them is a consultant, an HR consultant for other companies. Well, I'm going to meet up with her and connect with her and start building that relationship so I can see if, hey, maybe she can walk me in the door to some of these other places. Maybe she has ideas on how I can make myself better and have a better online presence. But really what I want is, can she walk me into doors? I had another person that owns a company. Okay, well, maybe they have money to invest. Maybe they have a 401k. I don't know. But so I'm trying to increase my own brand, one, to my network of 1,200 people. But I'm trying to get with our group is try to get my message out to more and more people so I can build a bigger brand and have people come in the door that I didn't even know were potential for clients. The other thing I'm doing is if people are engaging with you, and I'll throw up, oops, that's not there. Hold on a second. Okay, so it's not that one, it's this one. Okay, this perception one right here. So here's the comments. Oops. And this is actually on my to-do list today. Is this one right here? Is this the consultant? So they've engaged with me. So now I'm going to go back and I need to I don't know what I'm going to write yet, but start engaging back with people. And this is somebody I actually really want to connect with. I'm already connected with, but we just lost touch over 10 years, 15 years. And I think that she could be really help my business out. So I think it's part of what Josh talked about earlier. The old things that we used to do, you still have to do those. You can still do those on LinkedIn. So you put out something to get engagement. So you put out a post to get engagement. You have your friends, you have your coworkers help you get engagement through helping promote your post so you can get other engagement, right? So everything that I've done has started out with the first 4 or 5 pieces of engagement have all been people at Prime. Okay. It's my team that's doing it. And then it gets outside and gets going, and then more and more other people engage. So then it's up to me to go out and say, hey, look, just as if you were going and door knocking and you had somebody say, hey, they had some kind of an interest, or you got a conversation going, like keep the conversation going. So I think that might be the misconception that a lot of people have. Hey, you just post stuff and you get clients. I don't think that's probably how it works for the most part. Maybe it happens every once in a while, but if you put a little bit of engagement back and forth, you can make this happen. And it's not like it takes a lot for this to happen. My team, we can all go do our homework, which is I put a post up, they come through, they hit like, they hit a comment there. And sometimes it's just like, thanks for sharing. Boom. That's fine. It gets the algorithm going. But when they put something in better like this and you can engage back with them, it's even better. But if you're in a hurry, you hit the like and just thanks for sharing, we can hit our whole team in under 5 minutes. And literally you're spending 5 minutes twice a week. and you're getting your brand out there. You're helping other people get their brand out there. So, Glenn, I don't know if that answers your question or not between Josh and I, but I hope that helps.
It did.
Okay. A couple other tips real quick. We have a couple minutes left, and then see if anybody else has questions. Feel free to type if you guys have questions coming on. But we talked about when to post, what to post. It doesn't really matter what you post. The things I've seen is people like it, post business stuff, of course, post personal stuff. If you have something that happened that was really good, like Alec got his CFP, that's how he got 12,000 views, is he just posted that and people were congratulating him left and right. If you have something where you struggled with, they actually said that works really well. Like, hey, I struggled with this, or I failed at this. And I don't think I'd post that every single time, but that can get a lot of engagement. So mix up your posts between personal and business, put successes in there, put thoughts in there, put business stuff in there, mix the two together. My post from Tuesday started out talking about perception versus reality, and ended up the last half of it was all about how my team can bring clarity to people's perceptions about the markets and help them with that. So it was a sales post, but it started out not being a sales post. We talked about earlier, asking questions, use numbers, use statistics to try to encourage that engagement up front. Hook them in the first 2-3 lines because it's before that show more button. Use the hashtags, stay under 3 hashtags. It starts to penalize you. The algorithm penalizes you after 3 hashtags. And then how often to post. You can post as often as you want, but if you post more than twice a day, the algorithm ignores all your other posts. So make sure they're spread out 4 hours apart, post twice a day. Anything else you post, the algorithm's going to ignore. So I would say if you're going to post more than that, just make sure that you post your content you really want people to see, where it's going to get seen. So probably the first 2 posts of the day. There's so much more to talk about, but let's see what questions people have.
Let's do a handful of questions. Travis asked, did we cover the advantage of LinkedIn over other social media avenues? You did, Chris, but go ahead and summarize that again.
Yeah, so basically LinkedIn is still free. So the stuff that we talked about today, you have to pay for on other social media platforms. You can do it in Facebook, but you got to pay for it. You cannot get this stuff to organically work like it used to back in 2012, 2013, 2014, as it does on LinkedIn right now. So good question.
All right, let's see. We've got Amanda says, is there a difference in engagement when it is posted in LinkedIn versus a social media scheduler like Hootsuite? I'll be honest, I can't answer that, guys, because I always did my own. So, I say I did my own. I had Emerald years ago, but I gave up on that pretty quick. So do you know that answer, Chris?
Yeah, no, because it's still posting in here like this. So it's fine on the algorithms, right? As long as you're posting, as long as it's posting in here, it's fine. Well, and I actually am going to start researching that stuff
you can do your own native content in Hootsuite, correct? You can have exactly.
I think so. It's on my list of things to do to start researching those, because our group is having a little bit of trouble with trying to get stuff actually posted by the time they're supposed to post it. So it's not as efficient.
Chris uses it and says it works fine. Chris Osmond.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the feedback on that.
And I think if Glenn's still on, one of the things when I came on Prime about 6 months ago was I told him that in the industry I'm in, financial advisory, there is a lot of local guys across the United States doing what I'm doing with content marketing. And then there's the big dogs, the Ramseys and the Susie Ormans and all that are, national presence, but there really wasn't a whole lot in the middle. And one of the things I told him was one way you can help advisors like me that are 1,000 miles away from the mothership is as we all work together to create a tribe. And if you can help create a tribe that is going to support the things that I'm putting out there on a content basis, that's going to elevate my local status way quicker than I could do on my own. And that's essentially, somebody asked earlier, Chris, about the group that you formed. That's basically the beginnings of a tribe. When you put it out there and you've got your friends and your associates genuinely pumping it up and saying nice things about it, the outside world doesn't know that that's somebody that's maybe sitting in the cube over directly across from you. They just think that's somebody that is that is following you and liking your stuff. And it just, again, it starts the beginnings of building a brand. Are you viewed as an expert? Are you viewed as just a guy? Well, one of the ways you can be viewed on an expert is when you put things out that are authentic, that are native, and it gets real engagement and feedback. Well, guess what? You're on the way to start becoming viewed as an expert.
Yep. And that's a great lead into this point that they asked in the last webinar as well, that this is good to look at. So this is my biggest post I've had. This is the one from Tuesday. So I'm at 1275 views right now. And you can actually see, so the most engagement I had by far was people at Prime Capital. But just because I had that engagement.
Ed Jones coming for you.
Yeah, Ed Jones trying to recruit me. I almost said something bad there. Oops. Right. So that's the engagement. But if you look at to Glenn's point on where it actually went, I had a bunch of people in the places that I want to be at. So executive directors for like 403Bs, human resource specialists, marketing. Well, not really marketing. I don't really care about that, but like human resource and executive directors. These are places I want to be. So these are people I want to see it. Business strategists. Those are some people that I want to have see this. The financial people, like I had a bunch of financial advisors, a lot of Prime people see it. And that's fine. It is what it is. But like, I still am getting, because I have these people, these other people at QPA, at Prime Capital, like liking and sharing and commenting on this stuff, I'm getting it out to more people that I want to see, which are these people over here. And these are the people that I want to get out with and interact with. And I actually had one of our clients, an HR person that used to work at Fugro, she left and went to the East Coast and she started engaging with me. Well, guess what? She's an HR manager at a new place, and we're re-engaging right now. We lost touch, and now we're re-engaging, and now there's an opportunity for a plan, because also we did an amazing job. I say we, Matthew and the whole team did an amazing job, but this is just like reconnecting with people. You can see where it's at. So there's a lot that you can do in this stuff and see it. And based on, if you really just take a look at what your stats were, you can see what did well, what didn't well, tweak your message, tweak what you're doing, and then get your stuff to go certain ways. I've learned a lot in just 2 weeks of doing this on how I want to specifically, depending on the post. This lemonade one doesn't have anything to do with business. I don't really care who sees it. So I did whatever. But this other one, this coffee one, or this elephant one, is all about my team helping 1 million people. I'm trying to get personal clients here. So I was tagging retirement plan, income plan, investments. But knowing how it worked and how it did things, I'm going to tweak my messaging for the next time to try to get and target those people that I want to be in front of.
So I'm going to answer Andy Merchant's question real quick. I believe that compliance has Facebook approved that for the strategies we discussed today. I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. But really, I think most of the advisors are using LinkedIn more than Facebook to kind of do virtual networking and things like that. We do have a few of the advisors that also use Twitter a lot, which is fine too. But usually Facebook, that's more personal and fun versus trying to target kind of a networking audience.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear Josh's thoughts on this. My thought is, so we picked specifically LinkedIn today because LinkedIn is probably the biggest bang for your buck, the best ROI for your business right now, and not to overwhelm people. Mm-hmm. But I think, myself, I think I would like to go down the road of having LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, probably using some tool like Hootsuite to like coordinate efforts across the board.
All right.
And
Chris, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And to do that. And Glenn's saying, stop telling people you're only doing it 2 weeks and you sound like an expert. Well, right. I did a lot of studying, Glenn.
You did
a lot. I got my bachelor's degree in LinkedIn in 4 weeks ago. So I'm just applying it right now. So
Chris, I want to show people one thing, and then I'll be done unless we have other questions. Will you click on My Network on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Those of y'all that are still here, if you'll look down, when you go to My Network, first it's going to show you recommended pages. Generally speaking, most of it's going to be some type of, LinkedIn's already decided that Chris has some kind of interest in the city of Springfield. He must like women in trucking. He must be somewhere along the line. Chris must have done something where he was going after a trucking client, or maybe
I have a bunch of trucking clients, and I have a bunch of clients in Springfield.
Right.
which
So
is
keep-
creepy that it knows that.
Yeah, it knows that. So if you keep scrolling down, it's going to have some things, some groups that you potentially could join. I am part of a couple of entrepreneur groups. I'm a part of a couple of small business groups. I'm part of a couple of financial planning groups. Does membership in a small business group automatically mean that a other small business owner in there from my area of the country says, great, this guy is awesome, I want to give him my money? No, but it increases my chances. Scroll down, because we have commonality. These are going to be people that are in his area that potentially he wants, LinkedIn thinks it might be good connections. Somebody asked on our last webinar, how picky are you with connections? Don't be precious about this stuff. I don't connect with a lot of, because of what I'm doing, I have a lot of people contact me that are marketers, online marketers. Really, other than that, I'm pretty open, other than somebody's profile looking fishy. Facebook's full of the biggest creepos on earth. But LinkedIn's a little bit more buttoned up. And if you keep going down, it's going to show you hashtags. If you look at the hashtags I follow, this is Chris's profile, but I definitely follow financial planning. I follow investments. I follow entrepreneurs and small business owners because that's the core of my business. And I want to see who's out there doing those things. And then from there, it's going to have people that are a big enough profile that they're not going to be a friend request. They're going to be people you follow, like Alex Rodriguez, 11,000 followers. This is Sarah Johnson. I don't know who she is, but she's got 200,000 plus followers.
10 million for Aaron Huffman.
Yeah. So what Chris was saying earlier, if you all are serious about this during the day on LinkedIn, spend your time, spend 15, 20 minutes max. Just write something authentic to you about what you know with your practice or yourself, personal or business. Be authentic. And then at night, take 10, 15 minutes, go through this My Network page and increase the size of your network, increase the size of the people you're following, increase the hashtags that you're following, grow your network. And that will help you a lot with building your own personal brand because it all goes in one big circle back to you. So that was all I had. I know we're going a little long, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Add that I did put the register link for Wednesday's webinar, and it's going to be a very basic one-on-one training. So it will go over more of this stuff too on, how to connect, what to post, hashtags, things like that. So sign up there if you need more help or advice on some of those.
Yeah. And lastly, I just wanted to let everybody know. So we're trying specifically, my LinkedIn group that I created just to help people out is I wanted to keep it small so we could, one, be efficient with our time and get people in and out. So there's 10 people in our group. We can, go post and help each other out pretty quickly twice a week. We're willing to bring more people in, but we want committed people. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. But what we'll probably do is just say, hey, you go actually do the work for a couple of weeks, and then we'll, if you're committed and actually doing the work, then we'll add you to the group, and then we'll go help your stuff out as well. We just don't want people to, get really excited and then not do the work. And then we're spending the extra time helping people that are not going to help out back. So the people we have in the group are really committed. So if you want to be committed and you want in, we're welcome to have more people. We just want to be efficient and do well for each other. So we want the people with a high level of commitment to do that. So that's all I have today. I hope this was like impactful and helpful for everyone. I really think it could be a good tool for us to use as a business. I think it can help out you and your individual practice. I think it can help out everyone in our whole entire company, all of our brands across the board, which I think would be a good thing for all of us. So that's all I have today. I appreciate everybody's time. And Josh, Emily, you guys have anything?
No, I think we're good.
Let's land this plane, buddy.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Oh, wait, it's Thursday. Sorry.
Ha.
There were some questions that just came in too.
Oh,
Please invite me. Never mind.
All right. You go ahead and.
Yeah, I'm closing it down.
Good job, everybody. I'll talk to you soon, Chris.
All right. Sounds good. See you.